At the start of the pandemic, practically everything was unknown. How did the coronavirus spread? Why does it affect people differently? How long would we need to social distance? When might we have a vaccine? While some of these questions were answered just as quickly, a new crop of uncertainties emerged throughout 2020 and 2021. Though the widespread vaccine rollout seemed to have provided a reprieve from the worst of pandemic life, the progress was in many ways short-lived. Now, after nearly 2 years of fear, grief, and day-to-day pandemic turmoil, cancelled plans, delayed weddings, missed milestones, the emergence of the Omicron variant throws another twist into what we hoped would finally be post-pandemic life. And once again, we are being told to wait and see. Wait for research on how infectious Omicron is, how serious infections with this variant are, how the vaccines stand against it, and whether we should alter our risk management approach. All of this information makes it really difficult to make plans, from returning to office to planning holiday gatherings and winter travel. All this uncertainty is inherently stressful, and even research can validate this. The human brain doesn't cope well with uncertainty, and so it defaults to anxiety in the face of a potential threat. Instead, we prefer routines and feeling in control. And it's not a surprise that a pandemic which has destroyed all forms of routines and personal control has certainly inflicted havoc on our mental health. And according to an August 2021 survey, more than 60% of the respondents said that uncertainty over the next few months will bring in a great deal of stress for them, and 50% of them said that pandemic has made planning for their future feel impossible. If you can feel the latest strain of uncertainty depleting your mental health and well-being, we are here to suggest some constructive ways to cope with the ongoing precariousness of our present moment. So we start by suggesting you to make plans but stay flexible. Since day one of this crisis, being nimble and adjusting to changing guidelines on the fly has been integral to coping with the pandemic. This flexibility is still the key, and perhaps even more so when your patience has sort of run out or run thin and psychological exhaustion is high from nearly 2 years of changing circumstances. Right now, you should still make future plans, and research shows that having something to look forward to improves your mood and well-being. While you must listen to the latest public health recommendations and be prepared to change your course if that guidance shifts. Taking a day-by-day approach may feel inconsistent when it comes to making plans, but given the uncertain nature of the present, we have no option but to live for the day we have in front of us. The second is to lean on your networks. Lean on your networks. It's admittedly a great disappointment to make plans you are excited about only to have to cancel or postpone them. However, if there is a takeaway from the last year's lockdowns, it's that loneliness is terrible for all our mental health. So take the advantage of being vaccinated and having access to vaccines and make an effort to connect with your communities, but make sure that staying safe is your priority. Networks can be an anchor in these testing times. Even making plans to video call or text a friend if you don't feel safe meeting in person is beneficial. And it's easy in this time to want to retreat and hide away, and that might be restorative for you. But if that's the case, do it if you feel good that way. Community support is key, and being intentional and deliberate about finding that support is really important. The third is that avoid thinking about the worst. While dreaming up worst case scenarios can help us plan and problem solve for the future, it's impossible to over rely on this type of thinking and get stuck in a perpetual loop of worst case planning. As a result, you might actually end up full with anxiety, and instead of working toward a solution, you will feel immobilized by fear. Rather than wondering, what if the worst happens? Ask, what is my current reality? And if that reality involves the sense that the New Year Eve's party you have been looking forward to might not happen as planned, you can acknowledge your frustrations at having to change course. And then focus on a workable solution given the circumstances and limitations. This might involve hosting a belated outdoors New Year celebration on a sunny day. Next, focus on what's in your control. One way to increase tolerance of uncertainty and ambiguity is to make a concentrated effort to relinquish control. Implementing public health policies that would bring case numbers down might not be something you can personally do, but you still have authority over your own life, from how you fill your spare time to how you react to the latest news and developments. If and when the world does throw another unexpected situation, our reactions will be practically the only thing that we can control. It's kind of like when you're flying and everybody's flights have been cancelled, and some people approach the flight person in a fit of rage, while other people are very adaptable and are understanding to the situation. Where do you want to fall in terms of where you show up in the midst of that change? It's okay to be upset, but once your initial emotional reaction has subsided, try to make a conscious effort to take action and make decisions from a place of patience and flexibility versus a place of resistance and denial. And last but not the least, find a glimmer of hope. For most of this year, COVID-19 vaccines remained a point of optimism. Once we all are vaccinated, the thinking went that life could go back to normal. Now that the reality has shown otherwise, it may be difficult to assemble another ounce of hope. But even in moments of despair, we need to have aspirations. Whether you find that in your faith, your relationships, or a meaningful purpose that you want to take on post-pandemic, you need something to help you make it through the next day. We can only do our best to listen to ourselves and to really be attuned to what is that we need in order to keep taking that next one step forward. Know that the brain isn't good at handling uncertainty, and use that to your advantage. To be in a state of prolonged uncertainty is extremely stressful. But rather than seeing our brain's natural reaction to uncertainty as an obstacle, try to take it as something that can get us out of our routines that we may have held for decades or years. And that's not always bad. It will lead to change. And this change can come in the form of how you approach even the mundane moments in life. And so the question to ask is, what can we do to even just be aware and notice and cherish the very simplistic moments of our days? How can we make this life one that is meaningful, that offers slices of joy, and that provides a sense of relief in the midst of how heavy it's been to live within this pandemic? I hope you will find these ways useful to welcome 2022 with hope and optimism. Wish you and all your loved ones a Happy New Year in advance. Thanks for watching.